Hey, this is John Samuel, the host of All Access with John Samuel, the show where we share the stories of entrepreneurs, business leaders, and advocates who are improving the lives for people of all abilities. Today, we have a special guest, Lindsay Wrege, who's the founder of 321 Coffee. And not only is she an entrepreneur, she's also a Park Scholar at NC State University, my alma mater. Super excited to have Lindsay here today. Hey, Lindsay.
Hi, John. Thanks so much for including me, and definitely go Pack.
Yes, go Pack. I'd love to learn more about who and what is 321 Coffee.
321 Coffee, we are a coffee shop that's really centered around diversity and inclusion and the value that a diverse team can bring to the workforce. And so we are a coffee shop and we focus on employment opportunities for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we really want a diverse team. We want diverse baristas to come together, bringing unique strengths. We want to create that professional development opportunity and then just showcase all of their unique talents and unique value really at the forefront of the business.
So where are you located?
Our shop is at the NC State Farmers Market, which is off of Lake Wheeler.
So why did you end up starting off at the farmers market?
When I started this company, I was actually a freshman in college at NC State. So in our very beginning stages, a couple college freshmen weren't really ready to go sign a lease in downtown Raleigh. Nor were we ready. We didn't have access to that. And so we really said, okay, like what are we capable of doing? So in the beginning, that for us, that was sort of this mobile coffee shop setup that we had. We had coffee makers that we bought from Target. We had folding tables that we rented from the student union. Our very first event, we got Starbucks coffee, and we just went to different events and asked to serve coffee to just get our name out there. I had friends in the area with varying disabilities and asked if they wanted to come be involved. They said yes. And so we had this really basic proof of concept that we could roll with. And we had more and more support at every event that we did. And so at some point, someone was like, hey, you could totally just go serve coffee at the farmer's market. And we're like, great, like we could do that. And so we started just on Saturdays under a tent. That meant every morning getting up at 6 a.m. to set up all of our folding tables and all of our coffee makers. But we did it and it worked and people were excited and the baristas really saw so much professional development from having that regularity. We ended up having the opportunity to move inside and build out a space with an espresso machine and a water line. And we didn't have to set everything up at 6 a.m. And it was our first sort of mini brick and mortar location. So that's where we've been ever since.
But what was really driving you towards the working with individuals with intellectual disabilities?
Really what I was excited about was this cause and using business and a business model to prove inclusion and prove that it can work and prove the value that it can create. Me personally, my tie to this community and this cause really dates back to when I was in elementary school. I had switched schools, didn't know anyone, and my first friends were 3 girls in the classroom that all had a different disability. And at the time, that meant nothing to me. We were friends because we all like to play hide and go seek at recess, very typical 3rd grade friend things.
Yeah.
And that inclusion and that inclusive principle really just came because of our youth and because we hadn't learned anything different. And so growing up with that experience and that perspective really opened my eyes to the world of what's possible and the value that you can gain as an individual from interacting with people who are different than you. And I personally know that those 3 girls, we've stayed friends ever since. They actually all now work at 321, which is a pretty cool, like full circle thing, but they've had such an impact and influence on me and absolutely have shaped me for who I am. And I now want to share that experience and that perspective with others.
As a freshman, you have so much going on. And not to mention you have a Park Scholar. So if you could explain what the Park Scholar is first, and then having time to do this, it's just pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you, first of all. So yes, the Park Scholarships Program is a full ride merit scholarship program on campus, really centered around 4 pillars of scholarship, leadership, service, and character. So I had come to school sort of with this idea of, wouldn't it be fun if, but at the time I actually wanted to go to med school. So I was studying very like biomedical engineering. I was spending my summers shadowing in the OR. And one thing that I completely believe in is if you really want to do something, there's time in the day to do it. You know, there's a million excuses, but if you can get past that, you can do so many things if you have the right drive. So that's where the time came from, luckily. And then over time, it just became turned from this sort of fun side project thing into something that I was just getting so excited about working on. And, you know, suddenly the organic chemistry and the statics engineering, that's what got pushed to the side and didn't quite have time for, unfortunately. But I just got so excited about, you know, seeing your work on a day-to-day basis turning into, we just did our first event and now we just did our second event, and oh my gosh, we're opening at the farmers market and we just hired employees. And it was just so cool to see that direct outcome of the work that I was doing. And I just got totally fell in love with entrepreneurship, with that social impact, with using business for a greater purpose, that I switched majors. I've switched intended career paths, no longer taking organic chemistry classes, no longer on the med school route, fully into entrepreneurship and finding more ways to grow.
How did you come up with the name 321, by the way? What is that? Is there any meaning to that?
Yeah, so the 321 represents Down syndrome, which is the third copy of the 21st chromosome. And that was just the beginning bootstrap days of freshman year. We were sitting around on a table and we're like, okay, we need a name. And someone was like, Down syndrome, 321. How about 321 coffee? And we're like, perfect. Yes. Like, moving on. And then luckily, like a couple months later, we're like, oh, we should check, like, is the domain available? Is like the trademark taken already? And like, luckily everything was available and we were able to snap it all up. And that was just total luck.
I love it. That's part of being an entrepreneur. You know, and I love the fact that you said, all right, keep moving, let's go. And that's awesome. That is so cool. But, you know, right now you've got this successful, you know, location at the farmers market. So what's next?
If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have told you about our grand plans that we were going to go open our second location, finally in that downtown Raleigh spot. But the name of the game of 2020 is pivots, and COVID just totally throwing a wreck in plans. So that 100% happened for us back in March, especially with the population that we work with. Many of our employees are in that high risk category. So we really had to get creative with how were we going to make this work. So our pivot was we ended up expanding our shop at the farmers market. We doubled our footprint, and we've been using the new space to begin roasting our own coffee. So this is a totally new ball game that we're playing in. None of us knew how to roast coffee. Nevertheless, could we teach our employees how to roast coffee? So we had to figure that out, but it's been awesome. And we've been working with great partners in like the coffee importing world. So we've hired new staff, learned how to roast, been training, and we've been making this new product, which is roasted coffee. And with now the opportunity to sell it in stores, ship it online, that's coming soon, sell it to other businesses, and finding more ways to still create those meaningful work opportunities, but in a way that's less dependent on people coming into the space with the changing landscape.
You're able to see that and be able to pivot quickly and really, you know, make it work for yourself and help grow the business. That's super cool. So how can people get in touch with you?
I love hearing from people, love finding new ways to work with others. So the best way to get in touch with me is over email, lindsay@321coffee.com. My name is spelled with an A.
What about social media?
We're active on social media at drink321coffee.
So everybody go get that. You know, I've been evangelizing for Lindsay because I really believe you are a rock star, Lindsay. I love what you've been doing. I love everything about, you know, your passion and your mission. And I wish all the best for you. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk.
Thank you, John. Thanks for including me on this. And thank you for the work that you're doing with just amplifying voices and making accessibility more accessible.